Hello, Verena. How are you?
Hi, Whitney, very well and you, and pretty excited to be here.
Yeah, I'd love if you'd share a little bit about who you are, like a short intro, and then we can have the privilege of listening to your story.
And we'll delve in. Okay. So
Yes.
I'm Verena. I grew up in South Africa, in
Hmm.
Cape Town. That's originally where I'm from. I am second generation. Both my parents were complete outsiders. And I think just briefly as a introduction, I always need to mention my parents, how they met the truth or the way or the two by twos. My father grew up in Switzerland, very poor, and his first thought of a higher power, or God as it is, was when he was a little boy and his mum gave him money. They were very poor and sent him off to go buy bread. And as little boys are, he walked past a field where they were playing football, kicking the ball around, and he decided to join them. And when he put his hand in his pocket, there was a hole in the pocket and the money had fallen out. He panicked
Hmm.
because he knew he'd get a huge hiding when he got home. He had a very strict German mother. And so, in his simplicity as a child, he knelt down in the middle of that football field and he prayed and he said, please give, can I find this coin and then I will look for you and serve you. And when he opened his eyes, the coin was at his knee. Okay, so he picked up the coin and he remembered this story. And
Hmm.
so for many years, as he got older and when he got to adult years, he was looking for truth or okay, and
Hmm.
attended hundreds of different types of religion. And he would
Hmm.
see everything and then he would say, yes, this is it. And then he would see something and say, no, 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 that's not it. And then he would move on. And he
Hmm.
went to Curacao and then he came to South Africa where he met my mum. Now, my mum
Hmm.
grew up in what we call the Inchicat in South Africa. It's Dutch Reformed in a boarding school that was run by
Hmm.
the church. And she used to see how the food gets delivered by the farmers to the boarding house for the girls. And that food never ended up on their tables. It all went
Hmm.
to the minister and his friends and family. And so she's decided when she leaves school, she'll never put her foot in the church again.
Hmm.
And is what she did. And she went wild,
Hmm.
went to Cape
Hmm.
Town and she went wild. Anyway, she had a boyfriend who came from the Netherlands. And he just
Hmm.
one day said to her, they were a whole group and they were all drinking and smoking and chatting and laughing. And they were talking about religion. And he said, there's only one true way, and my parents belong to it in Holland, but I don't. And that struck my mom at the time. And then she questioned him about it. And he said, okay, I'll introduce you to my sister. She'll take you, which is what happened. And my mom then went and attended meetings. When she attended her first meeting, she felt that this was the right thing. But anyway, the worker that she listened to has subsequently been known as a perpetrator. So it just throws me a little bit. But at the time, so she was called away to her parents to look after her mom for something. So she left the city. And then when she came back, she met my dad. And but my dad had been married. He got married. He moved from Switzerland to Curacao and then to Johannesburg. And he got married. He had a little girl, Heidi, who's in the work in Holland. At the birth of his second daughter, his wife and his baby died. The one had polio and the one had double pneumonia. Anyway, he then moved to Cape Town and he met my mum. And they courted for 3 months, they got married, and but and then they had me. But what happened, my mum was already 30. She wanted a child straight away and she couldn't fall pregnant. So she prayed
Hmm.
and said, if you give
Hmm.
me a baby, I'll serve you in this way, the two by two. She fell pregnant immediately. that same month.
Mm-hmm.
So when she had me in the November conventions, she felt she had to take, she had to make her step. But my father had always said he's looking for truth and he doesn't believe in a divided home. So she was
Mm-hmm.
very scared and she told him that she's thinking of taking this step. So he said, okay, no, go ahead. And so they tested the meeting and she stood, and he just thought to himself, well, he said no divided home, so he'll also just join these people. My dad would say, when he told his testimony, he would say, I'm still looking for the fault, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Mm-hmm.
served God right till their deaths. My dad died at 63 from tongue cancer, my mum at 90. And they were very wholehearted.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a Sunday morning meeting. They were amazing. We always had
Mm-hmm.
sister workers staying with us. And I grew up in this home full of love, loads of love. Not an easy home as far as looking after. Money wasn't great, so my mum always worked. She was quite a businesswoman. Yeah, we often had sister workers staying with us. We had a special workers room, the two beds, the cupboards, the
Mm-hmm.
desks, and the whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and the biggest room in the house. Um,
Uh-huh.
I never thought that. I didn't worry me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is the right and only way. I was listening to
Mm-hmm.
Dennis's interview with you recently, and he kept saying the word exclusivity, and that
Mm-hmm.
has really struck a chord with me lately. We felt exclusive. This is it. It's the only way. But as I grew up and I got to teenage years, okay, I was about some things that have now got me quite angry when I look back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I must have been, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, and I was playing bat and ball against a wall at school. And the teachers saw talent, so they told my parents, I should play tennis. My dad had been a amateur professional tennis player and had
Mm-hmm.
won many cups, trophies, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
nobody's talent. So my parents asked the workers, what should they do? So the workers said, don't buy her a tennis racket.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I am furious about that. I have
Mm-hmm.
extremely good ball sense. I can hit a ball, table tennis, but I'm too old now. I never
Mm-hmm.
knew that. Then I had my first boyfriend when I was in the last year of school. And he bought me, these are just little things that have come back to me over the recent
Mm-hmm.
events that have happened. He bought me a tiny little gold band with a tiny little heart that was like a little charm. And I was wearing it. And we were in a Wednesday night meeting. And I sat next to a worker and I kept trying to hide my hand. In
Mm-hmm.
hindsight, I'm like, really? You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
really? Is that going to keep me out of heaven? I was professing. I
Mm-hmm.
professed when I was in Senate 8, so I was probably about 15. But the restriction and the rules and the regulations, which we all were told are not rules and regulations, just got to me. And when I
Yeah.
finished school, I broke loose. But the hardest thing for me is right up until probably last year. Now I'm 66 now, so probably 64, 65. The truth was a rock solid foundation for me. So
Mm-hmm.
no matter where I went and what I did, and I went wild in many
Mm-hmm.
aspects, using uh, smoking, drinking, dancing, men. I did it all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I always felt I've got this foundation. I'll go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only place where I'm going to find redemption.
Mm-hmm.
And I married and had a baby, and then I decided I've got to bring up my children in the truth I professed.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I was very faithful. I had a terrible marriage. However, he did have respect. So if I'd have quiet time, he would keep the kids quiet, which I appreciated.
Mhm.
But he was a narcissistic, arrogant, very aggressive man. I did try and leave him at one stage, but it caused my children such damage that I felt it's better if I just stay with him, that I
Mhm.
don't ever have to give him the kids like for a weekend or, that I'll always be there. So I stayed with him till they finished school. And I professed till then. I was very faithful, perfectly dressed, perfect hair, always up. When my
Mhm.
son talks about me, he says, "Mum, you floated, you never walked. You were just
Mhm.
this perfect person, never angry, taking them to all the meetings. That was non-negotiable. All the meetings, even when they begged me not to, it was non-negotiable. Then we were in a small village. My husband was the manager of a very big retail store, and someone who had grown up in the meetings, a male, he was coming back to meetings, and we had to attend some function, my husband and I. So he came to babysit. And when we got home that night, my husband said to me, "I don't want him here. I don't feel comfortable. I'm worried he's abusing." But he thought of Samantha, my daughter.
Mhm.
You know, little did we know that he had caused problems with my son
Mhm.
and had caused problems there. And my son was probably about 8 or so.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, but my son never showed anything. He never said anything. This is now coming out later. Then, anyway, we moved back to Cape Town. And I'm just giving you, I'm just telling you
Mm.
things, Whitney. It's just as it's coming, okay?
Yeah.
One night, so my son was probably, he was in standard 5, so maybe 13 or 14. I walked past his bedroom. It was probably about midnight. And he was sitting on his bed and he was rocking. I could see from the light from the window, and he was rocking on his bed.
Oh.
And I went to him, I said, "My darling, what is it? Can't you sleep?" And he just said to me, "Oh, I don't want to live anymore, Mom. I just don't want to live anymore." Anyway,
Oh man.
I didn't know what it was. I got him to the doctor. I got him on antidepressants. I got him to a psychologist. He went to many psychologist sessions, but what had happened to him, he never spoke about to the psychologist. And something else
Mhm.
that happened after that, which I found out when he was in his 20s, while we were in this, at that time, he came across a video. He was alone at home and he came across a video. And this video was one that my husband had taken of a lady dressed in my appealing, sexy underwear in our house, in my bed,
Mhm.
in our
Mhm.
bathrooms, and very revealing,
Mhm.
showing real modes of undress. And my son had come across this video, and he knew his father was taking the video because his father was speaking.
Mhm.
So he was exposed to that. I knew nothing. He never told
Mhm.
anybody till in his 20s when I left my husband. It came out, and I think he shared it with
Mhm.
Erica first.
Mhm.
And I said to him, "Why didn't you tell Mum? I would have left Dad immediately." And he said, "If I told you, Mum, you would have left Dad, and it would have been my fault." So that's what he's carrying. Subsequently to that, that man that must have fiddled with him when he was young, he went into the work. And one evening we were at a meeting on the convention grounds. This man took part, and after the meeting, he tried things with my son on the convention grounds. And Richard just came to me and he just said, Mom, let's go. We got to leave here immediately. Can't stay here. So, and then he said, this man's trying to flirt with him and wants him to come somewhere. So that was his thing. And it's part of me because these are my kids. And, don't touch my kids. So I'll freaking kill you, Um, but don't forget, this is the truth. This is my rock foundation. And you protect the truth at all costs. That's how I was brought up. You protect the truth at all costs. The way is perfect, but the people are not. Those without sin throw the first stone. All these things. Where's your humility? Where's your obedience? Don't stir. Don't bring up controversial things. This is a once-off. This doesn't normally happen. All these things. So what do? I protect the truth. I'm for my kids and I protect them, but I protect the truth. I don't tell anyone. When I was in my 20s, I had one old worker. He's died, but he with a pretense of wanting to look at my wedding ring because he was very outspoken on the platform about women and our mode of dress, and we must be modest, and our hair and our jewelry. And so he wanted to look at my wedding ring and make sure there's no diamonds in my ring. My dad was a jeweler, so yes, I did have a nice ring, but with the pretense of looking at my ring, he kind of put his whole body up against mine and rubbed his arm against my breast. I was like, I don't know, 24, 25, very uncomfortable. But you protect the truth, And oh, shame, it was a weak moment. I have subsequently spoken to another lady who's a bit older than me. This very same worker would stand behind her while she's playing hymns. And when the mother left the lounge, he would slide his hands down her shoulders and fondle her breasts. So, so that was my experience. And then my daughter was probably 16, and this young worker came to visit us with the pretense that he's very interested in the youth. So he went into her bedroom, he lay on her bed with her, and the door was closed and it worried me. So I opened the door saying, would you people like something to drink? And, leave the door open. Sam, are you all right? Yeah, Mom, I'm okay. He was showing her things on his phone. Anyway, I left the door open and then he left and he said, oh, Sam can walk me to the car. He'll say goodbye to us at the door. When Sam came back upstairs, she came to me and she said, Mom, she was, as I say, 15, 16. She said, is it okay if a worker kisses me and puts his tongue in my mouth? And I'm like, no, Sam, it's not okay. She says, I thought so. It didn't feel good. So I said, no, my darling, it's certainly not okay. But what do? I protect the truth. So shame, Sam. He probably had a weak moment. You're a pretty girl. So let's just, let's just forgive him. And so life went on. And when the children left school, I left my husband. When I left him, I was 48, 47, 48. And he had professed just before that, probably a year or so before that. I expected then things to change. Now we're going to have peace in the home. I just went the other way. Every Sunday morning, he would look for a fight with me. It just got too much for me. And then I decided, this is it. I can't do this anymore. And I said, we need a separation. But he carried on going to meetings and I fell out. And I went from this
Mhm.
lovely, elegant, long blonde haired lady to this wild, pitch black, spiky hair, crazy person. And of course, he was in the meetings telling everybody that I introduced my children to drugs and I allowed them to drink and smoke, and I'm smoking. And, so the
Mhm.
stories went to lots of people. But I said, I'm not defending myself. I won't. I am who I am. Yes. But
Mhm.
years later, a lady that professors came to me and she said to me, I want to say sorry to you. Uh, I said, why do you want to say sorry to me? She says, because I was told what a bad mother you are and what terrible children you've got and that they take drugs. And, she says, and Richard has spent time in the town where they were living with my aunt, and she says, you had the most beautiful son. He's so kind and gentle and respectful and well spoken. And I don't know where these things came from. And I was blissfully unaware that she'd heard anything. So anyway, this
Mhm.
just don't defend yourself. It'll come out eventually.
Mhm.
But I did profess again, because this is the truth. Yeah,
Mhm.
and then everything blew up with Brewgate.
Mhm.
It has shaken me to my very core because this has been my rock foundation that my whole
Mhm.
life has been built on. I don't even know how to say it to you or what to say. I'm angry. I am so angry. I'm floundering. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know what to listen to. I don't want people to bad mouth the friends or the workers,
Mhm.
but I also want all the stuff to get dealt with.
Mhm.
And in South Africa, they're not dealing with it. They're not. The
Mhm.
overseers are not. It's serious in South Africa. I live in the
Mhm.
UK now. I did send an email to the worker that was kind of in charge here, just to say that I'm not feel comfortable to go to meetings at the moment. His response, which took about 2 or 3 months before he responded, was yeah, there was not much of a response. So I'm like nowhere. I'm really nowhere. And the more things I hear and the more people I speak to that give me their direct, this is not hearsay, this is the person saying, this is what happened to me. This is not so and so said so and so said so and so, It's
Mhm.
it's mind-boggling that this is
Yeah.
going on. And all on the
Yeah.
QT. It's just, I mean, the Uncle Jimmy Johnson was in charge for many years. He was an elder gentleman. He knew these things and he was sending everybody to Zimbabwe when these things were
Mhm.
happening in South Africa.
Mhm.
But it was never fixed. The workers were just moved.
Mhm.
And actually, they were then put on higher pedestals because, wow, they're willing to go to these countries that are so difficult.
Yeah.
There's one man in Cape Town, he's a Sunday morning elder. He, in fact, there's a case going now. The girls, she was 9 when he raped her.
Mhm.
He was in Brazil for a long time, came back. He's now married and he's got 2 little girls. Um, I mean, he's in his 60s, his wife's in her 30s or whatever. But they've got these 2 little girls and he's got a Sunday morning meeting. The workers are doing nothing about it. She's at court at the moment. Why are they not doing anything?
Mhm.
Where did the exclusivity come from? And having a mother and father that were so faithful. And I looked up to them and I believed them, and I still do. But where does that leave me?
Yeah.
Where does that leave us? I don't want to go to a church. I don't know. Is God in a church? You know,
Mm.
I don't know how my story's going to end.
Yeah.
I have released the rules and regulations. My hair is short, and from because I had
Mhm.
cancer last year, the whole year,
Yeah.
and it's just growing now. But it will probably stay short because I couldn't be bothered.
Mhm.
So the mode of dress, yeah, I'll wear my slacks.
Yeah.
These things are not bugging me. They don't bug me.
Mhm.
But I haven't found peace yet. And I know I need
Mhm.
to,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, it's going to be my personal relationship.
Yeah.
It's going to be when I get there, he's going to say, I know you or I don't know you. And the way to know him is not going to a meeting or to a
Yeah.
church,
Yeah.
it's going to him directly.
Mhm.
And I know he will hear, but I'm still angry with him.
Mhm.
I need I need to get over that. But at the same time, I'm so glad that the gates broke in 2023. I'm so glad that happened. That this exposure and this ulcer could burst open and all this crap could come out and can,
Mhm.
but it needs more cleaning. There needs a lot more
Mhm.
cleaning to happen. And that is me. I don't have
Yeah.
anything else to
Yeah.
say. My husband has died. He died several years ago. Shame. He was very young, 54, from brain cancer. And I have my two beautiful children. So I'm glad for them.
Yeah. Verena, thank you for sharing. Oh man, so much of what you share is what so many of us are and have been going through. It's like when you talk about you don't know where your story will end. Same. That's just where we all are. We're just in a point in time and reeling from so many different things. But sharing your story with me is just so beautiful and heartbreaking and shows so much resilience in you. I just thank you for sharing it.
Thank you, Whitney, for having me. Yeah, I don't know if it'll help anybody else, but there is help
Mhm.
out there, and we just need to, yeah, just work on our personal relationship.
Yeah. And you talk about being angry even with the situation, but even with him. And that is so normal and healthy. And that is something that he can absolutely take. So I'm so glad to hear that you can do that because that's what a lot of us have been afraid of admitting, but it's true.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah. But I think he understands also. He knows our
Yes.
hearts better than we do. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Verena. It's been a wonderful experience to hear it.
Thank you, Whitney. Thanks for having me, and we'll chat
Yeah.
soon.
Yes, we will. All right. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.